So, good morning, everyone. So I'm Richard Vinoche, so I'm a project director at NUVIA. And so my presentation this morning is related to an innovative industrial partnership in the dismantling business. And I will talk about that related to the dismantling of reactor 1 and reactor 2 at Ringhals site in Sweden. So basically, I will make a quick presentation of the context of the dismantling program. Then I will explain to you the main principle of the collaboration agreement we have with the client Vattenfall, and then a few pictures to illustrate the key achievement we had since the start of this program. So welcome to Sweden. We are in the west coast of Sweden, 60 kilometers south Gothenburg. And so at Ringhals site, so we have 4 reactors. 2 of them are still in operation, Unit 3 and Unit 4, PWR, and 2 of them has been shut down in 2019 and 2020, so 1 PWR and 1 BWR. So both of them are the subject of this D&D program we have. The site actually is owned by Vattenfall and is operated by Ringhals AB. So in the presentation, I will always talk about Ringhals. So Ringhals is our partner and the owner and the licensee of the site. So globally, the name of this program is called Phoenix, so the dismantling of Unit 1 and Unit 2. So the scope is related to approximately 15 different buildings, 1,000 rooms, around 45,000 tons of equipment to be dismantled and removed, plus around 340,000 tons of concrete, including reinforcement. 3 main categories of material has been identified for this dismantling program. First one is called special items. So here we are talking about special big components, especially reactor pressure vessel, their internals, and steam generators. So big specific components where globally the radioactivity is. Then the second type of material is what we call the bulk. So it's basically all the structure, system, and components within the control area, representing approximately 35,000 tons to be removed, to be treated, to be packed, and measured. Here, the main significant part of the cost of the program is here. And finally, we have all the conventional parts. So inside the non-control area or the concrete of the buildings, and now here it represents the huge majority of the volume to be treated. So let's concentrate now on the bulk decommissioning. So one program, 5 main projects has been identified in this program. So within special items, 4 lots related to the dismantling of both reactor pressure vessels and their internals. A dedicated lot, what we call lot 5, which is specific to Unit 2, which is the PWR. And here the scope is to dismantle the primary circuit, removal of steam generators, and dismantling on all the reactor cooling system and the pumps. Then the bulk with 2 main projects. First one is to prepare the full execution of the bulk by making space inside the building, dismantle a few rooms to install the waste standing station where we'll measure the different material we have removed. And we also had to facilitate and to make the waste handling and waste transport easier inside the facility, we had to install a few elevators or create some openings inside the building to make all the flows of material easier inside the facility. And then, of course, we have the main part of the project, which is the dismantling on all components, systems inside the control area. And so as you can see here, I put in green here the scope of NUVIA. So we are definitely the key industrial partner of Vattenfall of Ringhals to deliver this program, as we have Lot 5 and all the bulk decommissioning. A few explanations of the timeline of the global program. So shutdown of the reactor 2019-2020. The license, the ND license, has been provided by the Safety Authority early 24. And so since that, so we have started to operate and to implement the decommissioning with bulk preparation in R1. And so we have started now the full execution of a bulk, the dismantling of a primary circuit, which is close to the end. And we are starting right now to prepare the dismantling of Unit 2. As you can see here, a strategy is to start to focus on one of the two reactors and to take the lessons learned from the start of this first reactor to implement optimized way of working in Unit 2. And so it's a long-term project, and we are in 25, so the target date to complete the decommissioning is around 2030, 2031, and then we'll have the conventional demolition 32, 32, 34. So how are we working on this project? So once again, the scope of the bulk is the dismantling of all components, system, equipment inside the control area. So mainly, so we have turbines, condenser, pumps, heat exchangers, cables, tray, all the HVAC systems within the different building and control area. So to deliver this project, so we are in a project, so of course, we need some specific skills related to project management. Design and engineering is key also to efficiently deliver this project. Design and engineering, we are talking about preparing the dismantling in terms of scenario, method statement, what tools we are going to use, and preparing the detailed plan of the different activities, and also specifying, purchasing all the tools, equipment we need to deliver the project. And then we switch to the works with two main parts: dismantling, preparation phase, scaffolding installation, rinsing, marking the pipes, the systems, and then the main part, which is the dismantling itself, mainly cutting, handling, lifting operations, and some concrete works when we have to remove some activities which is inside the concrete of the building, the structures. Once we have performed this dismantling operation, when we need to pack, to handle, to transport the different pieces of equipment inside the station, up to potential treatment operation to remove some contamination and to increase the free release ratio at the end of the day. So we can perform some recutting, some compaction, some decontamination, high pressure blasting, all kind of decontamination can be performed to achieve a high level of free release. And then at the end, of course, we can have to treat some asbestos and different hazardous material. We all know that the inventory, when we start this kind of dismantling, is not fully known. So we can find this kind of activities, so we need to address that. And at the end of the day, of course, all the waste that has been removed from the plant should be measured depending on the level of contamination. They can be nuclear waste or free release. The goal here is to increase, of course, the free release ratio to lower the cost of the program. And so thanks to our different background experience we had within NUVIA in France and different countries, especially in Europe. We have all the skills to manage this engineering, procurement, dismantling project. And so it's one of the reasons why Vattenfall chose NUVIA to be the partner to deliver this project. Now let's go to the way of working. So what was the context of the bulk when Vattenfall actually started to think about how to structure that, how to find the right partner? Of course, it's a complex stop, not fully defined at that time. Of course, a lot of unknowns and uncertainties regarding the licensing process, regarding the inventory, at that time, a full survey regarding radiological conditions, and the physical inventory was not fully clear. Storage and disposal was, oops, sorry. Some uncertainties also regarding the back end, I would say, the end of the story regarding storage and disposal of all the waste. And of course, we are in a dismantling, so a plant in operation, so there's a high level of dependency and value potential between the owner, Ringhals, and the contractor, the partner, NUVIA. So the decision and the approach that has been made to cope with this situation is to have a flexible contract to manage all these change and unknowns and to avoid fighting with commercial topics or disputes. Of course, as you have seen, we are talking about a 7-8 year project. So there was a willingness from Vattenfall to set a long-term partnership with a supplier, with the partner, and then a win-win approach. Due to this huge, important level of dependency between us, we should win or lose together. So decision was made to win together. And so it was part of the approach to find the contractor and to implement a collaboration. So as you can see here, I will not enter into the details, but there's a scope of NUVIA, so which took the full responsibility of the scope. But of course, there are a lot of interaction with the owner-operator, mainly at start to define the waste instruction, to make sure all the systems we can dismantle are ready for dismantling, and to get the cable before we can operate. And mainly at the end of the process, so once we have packed and measured all the waste, we have a formal handover to Ringhals, so they should accept the measurement and manage all the transportation outside and the storage and disposal of the waste. And of course, in the middle, we are dealing with licensing interfaces, RP, plant operation, plant modification, all of that. So the only way to succeed here is to have a very high collaborative way of working. So to make it very simple, the split of a responsibility between the owner, Ringhals, and NUVIA on this topic. Ringhals is focusing on the what. So what is the scope that needs to be performed in the coming months or years? And of course, Ringhals is in charge of specifying the different requirements or instructions regarding licensing, waste sorting, or this kind of thing. And NUVIA is in charge of the how. So we bring all our knowledge, experience, expertise to deliver the scope and to optimize the works and to get the lowest total cost of ownership for our client. And we are taking the full responsibility of the scope from dismantling, sorting, packing, measurement. And of course, we are talking about collaborative way of working. Even if we have, each of us have a clear responsibilities inside the project, the key thing is to work together to always, every day, optimize the works and find some new way question our way of working and to optimize the flows and the way of working so that we decrease the cost. Of course, in a safe way. So the fundamentals in terms of contracting, fundamentals of a partnership, we are not paid and compensated to perform some tasks or some activities. We are compensated to create some value and to achieve some results. Once again, so Ringhals and NUVIA are fully vested in each other's success. So risk and reward are shared to align the interest of the program. Of course, to go this way, it's a new way of working and it's a change in the mindset of working. We are not in an employer-contractor relationship. We are in a partnership here. So instead of having this what's in it for me, where we can go to blame games or to contractual topics which are not the good way to achieve performance, we need to completely change the mindset and to think team, what we together, what we can do to achieve desired outcomes, what we can do to find some solutions together when we are facing some issues. So how we together find the best solution and optimized solution, how do we plan together so that we have something completely lean and efficient at the end of the day. So to make it concrete, so we set this partnership with Ringhals. So the name of the partnership is WDEC, as we decommission, not so complicated. So instead of having a kind of draft of contract, we started from nothing, from scratch, and we have completely built the contract together using a facilitator and some workshops. So we had a joint team, and we started completely from scratch to build this partnership. The contracting process was about 1 year to build this agreement. And so basically, it's a very highly collaborative agreement. So based on a combination of what I call a relational contract, everything is based on trust and transparency between the parties. And all the decisions are made jointly. It's not the employer telling the supplier on NUVIA what to do. Everything is, we think together, we plan together, we decide together. Of course, we are in business, so we have an outcome-based business model. So this is something completely innovative in our business. So how does it work? Basically, we agree every year on the plan for the coming year and what is the associated budget to perform the works. Again, in full transparency, we do that together. We find an agreement on what are the resources, so the budget, the staffing, tools, equipment, to deliver the scope. And then we are compensated from NUVIA point of view, so it's a cost-plus model with full incentive related to our performance. And so, in more details, how did we build that? So we have a full incentivization to reach the KPI through the pricing model, and all our profit is based on performance. So actually, we started, when we meet first time, we started to do, okay, guys, but what do we want to achieve? Why are we here around the table, NUVIA and Vattenfall? What do we want to do together? So we started to have this joint vision. What do we want? And then we have broken down this joint vision into desired outcomes and objectives. Main topics here, we have defined 4 main desired outcomes related to safety, efficiency, sustainability, and partnership. Then we have broken that into concrete objectives where we can link some indicators, some KPIs. So what are the KPIs we need to implement to make sure we can reach this desired outcome? And then associated to the KPIs, we define some threshold and some incentive model at the end to define the level of compensation, of profit we can get depending on the different achievement of the KPIs. And so it's what we define during the contracting process, all this line. That means that at the end we have a pricing model that drives towards goal achievement. And then we can link that to the different KPIs where we are measuring that we are on track to achieve the different goals. And so if these KPIs are met, by principle, due to that, we should meet the sub-goal and the desired outcome. And so the joint vision is fulfilled. So we have this complete link between the joint vision and the detailed way of working, detailed KPIs we have to achieve the performance. And so that leads also us to always do our best and to always innovate, to reach the KPIs and then to achieve the joint vision. A few pictures of what we have already achieved since we have started. So I've just put an example of a room. You recognize standard room in a reactor, and this is where we are in this room after removing of all the big components and pipes, insulation and everything like that. In our process, basically, we have two main steps. So when starting from this kind of room, so we start first to remove all the components, and we are back later to remove, we make the complete measurement of the rooms, and potentially we are back 2 minutes. Yes. We are back later to remove some part of the concrete if there are some contamination inside the concrete. Another example is on R1, so the turbine. It's not the case for the PWR, but in BWR, so we had to remove, to dismantle the turbine. So you can see one of the rotors here. So we have dismantled that this year. And the 3 rotors, 60 tons here, after dismantling, decontamination has been finally free released. Here we are in Unit 2, PWR. So this is the initial state, and where we are right now, we have removed the 3 steam generators. And so you cannot see that, but below the slide, we have also removed all the, so this is a picture of lifting, tilting, and removing of a 3 steam generator. We achieved that during the spring this year. And we have also removed all the primary circuit in Unit 2. So with the pump and all the pipes, cold leg, crossover leg, hot leg. And this is after removal of steam generator and the RCS pipes and all the auxiliary pipes. The area, so the 3 loops are now completely clean, out of anything, and completely clean, ready for free release. Oops. So conclusion, so where are we so far actually? So we have started to mobilize people in early 24. We are currently around 300 people on site to deliver the scope. We should increase a little bit, maybe until 400 people next year. And the key achievement is that after 2 years of performance, we are delivering according to plan and budget. So it's a real success for both Ringhals and us. What's important is that in terms of relationship and way of working and mindset, the ones who have built the contract on both sides are the ones who are delivering the program, the project. So that means that during the contracting process, we learn each other, to know each other, to work together, and we are in the continuity of the contracting process. We have created a real trust and close collaboration at all the levels of our respective organization within NUVIA and Ringhals. And we have, of course, a full and efficient governance in place. And we have developed, once again, we are working as one team, so we have developed also a joint performance plan to address and to implement some continuous improvement of transformation initiatives to even perform better and better. So basically, it's a full success for us. So this kind of contract and partnership is definitely a real success. And we have the appropriate agreement to achieve that. Once again, dealing with long-term partnership, fully transparency and trust created between the teams. The contract is flexible enough. Of course, we faced next year and last year and this year some issues, but we didn't have any commercial topics, commercial disputes, claims, not these kind of things. We are addressing the topics live together and find some solution without any commercial disagreement, I would say. And so we are definitely in a win-win approach. Tack.